The stocks discussed on Phil's Gang are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering acting on information presented, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice. Get ready for the radio show that tells you what Wall Street doesn't want you to know.
Oh, I'm a money magnet. Money, money, money's coming to me. Money sets me free. I'm a money magnet. Money, 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 money's coming to me.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grande.
Or perhaps a very cheap imitation thereof. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Phil's Gang. Craig Robertson for the vacationing Phil Grande, who'll be back in this seat on Monday. Meanwhile, we've got a lot to talk about. And on today's program, we're going to take a look at the top 10 threats to your family's financial well-being, the security of your finances, and your retirement. If I might, let me open with an observation. Throughout this morning, we've had testimony on the Hill from Janet Yellen. Janet talking about the whole decision by the Fed last week not to touch the overnight lending rate and essentially leave it where it's been stuck for the last practical decade. I think the only rate increase we experienced was in December of last year. And the fascinating thing in listening to this testimony and some of the comments made by not only the White House, but even in response to Monday night's debate, where aside from all of the cute little 30-second sound bites given by both of the candidates, there wasn't much substance there, not much new that we learned about the positions of either of the candidates. But one thing was said by Donald Trump that was absolute spot on, so much so that the White House is even reacting to it, and that is the observation by Donald Trump that the Fed has become too politicized. Now, we're hearing a hue and cry from both the White House. Immediately, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest jumped on this. Members of Congress, principally from the Democrat aisle, jumped on it as well, insisting, no. There's nothing political about the Fed, even though the chairman of the Fed is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of the President of the United States. And I've grown up with the idea that whoever hires you and has the power to fire you is probably the guy or gal that you have to answer to. So how can we even begin to suspect that there's nothing about the Fed that's politicized? And let me say this. If you believe that, as some of these Washington, D.C. types do, you're either in Neverland, and I'm more and more convinced that Washington, D.C. is like Neverland. I don't know. They must have cotton candy dispensers on every corner, merry-go-round rides, and a house of mirrors so the House of Republicans, the House of Representatives can stare at themselves in the mirror. The Fed has not been politicized. If you believe that, you are either not paying attention, possibly brain dead, in which case I get to a hospital immediately, or maybe just living in the Twilight Zone. And that seems to be where a lot of these candidates are residing. So we're going to spend some time today talking about the top 10 threats to your family's financial well-being and the security of your finances in retirement. And I want you to listen to a clip, if you would, of what Janet Yellen said earlier today on the issue of the timetable for raising rates, or in this case, not raising rates, and essentially what that means in terms of not committing themselves to any specific date or time. Give a listen.
Both continue, but we do need, if things continue on their current course, to gradually remove the accommodation that is there. Nevertheless, there is accommodation. And while there's no fixed timetable for removing it, many of my colleagues indicated in their recent projections, the majority, that they would see it as appropriate to make a move, to take a step in that direction this year, if things continue on the current path and no significant new risks arise.
Okay, if everything continues on the same path, you mean runaway spending by the federal government, an administration that has almost doubled the debt over the last, practically 8 years now? Here's the fascinating thing. The argument goes, if nothing major happens, and of course, given our current geopolitical situation, what possibly could go wrong, right? In addition to that, part of the argument is that, well, we're seeing a great deal of job creation. In fact, and I quote here, she says, watching continued job creation at the pace that it's been running would cause the economy to overheat. Let me close the quote there. Anybody listening right now, do you really believe that the United States economy is in risk of overheating? We have had the most lethargic recovery in, well, quite frankly, the history of the last 80 years. You have to reach all the way back to prior to the Roosevelt administration. Remember when he came in office in 1933, the country's economy was in absolute shambles. Unemployment was something like 25%. And instantly overnight, with the crash of 1929, half the nation's wealth just literally was erased from bank accounts. And yet, even with that, Roosevelt managed to eke out a year where we had GDP of over 3%. This is the first president in the last 80-something years to not enjoy at least 1 year of 3% or higher gross domestic product growth. And when Janet Yellen says, well, we're concerned about the economy overheating because of the current pace of job creation, does anybody really believe that part-time jobs, minimum wage jobs, are going to lead to the economy just roaring out of control, runaway inflation, so much so that we'll have to go in and aggressively start increasing the overnight lending rate? The reality here is that there is an absolute disconnect, even as the Fed raised rates last December, a year ago practically, for the first time in nearly a decade. There's absolutely no way that this economy is going to overheat because of job creation, because the fact is, and this is where the reality disconnect in Washington, D.C. comes in, the fact is most of the jobs that are being created are simply part-time positions. They are low-wage positions. Wage stagflation over the last 40-something years is absolutely unbelievable. And we're going to spend some time when we come back after the break drilling down into some specific ways in which your financial well-being, the security of your finances, and your retirement is at grave danger unless you start taking a proactive position when it comes to maintaining and protecting your finances. And if anybody listening right now believes that this economy is at the risk of overheating because of job creation, then I suppose you also believe that Bill and Loretta Lynch were just swapping photos of their grandkids on the tarmac several months ago, which eventually led to the issue of Hillary Clinton not being held accountable for any of her actions related to one of the most serious breaches of national security that we've seen certain recent memory, aside from maybe some of the activities of Edward Snowden. We have seen an unbelievable pace of spending by Washington, D.C. And when we come back, I'm going to give a number to you that will put this in perspective as to how much taxes we would need to raise, how significant the tax increase would need to be to simply cover the debt over the last 8 years. The numbers tell a real critical story, and we're going to drill down into some of those numbers. And then a little bit later on in today's program, in addition to talking about some of the critical problems and offering some observations, we're also going to, most importantly, offer some key observations as to what you can personally do to better protect yourself, better protect your retirement, better protect your family's life savings. Because I've got to tell you right now, if Donald Trump said anything important last Monday night, he said this, and that is that the minute the Fed begins to raise interest rates, you're going to begin to see some bad things happen. And we'll talk about what that means as we continue on here, the Wednesday edition of Phil's Gang. More information, by the way, on the web at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. And, of course, you can also call toll-free 877-600-4264. Back with more in a minute.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. Phil Grande is a career businessman who has also been an entrepreneur all his life. He has used his business skills to take companies on the abyss of bankruptcy and bringing them back to profitability. Phil has been honored by Inc. magazine for the 500 fastest growing privately held companies and has been recognized with a prestigious Entrepreneur of the Year award. From the real estate to gas and oil industries to the stock market, Phil Grande has mastered his line of business from start to finish. And with a passion and desire to make you a profitable investor, only Phil teaches you and guides you to make informed, unemotional investment decisions. And you'll gain the knowledge of what Wall Street doesn't want you to know. If you want to learn from the best and strengthen your ability to invest, then turn to Phil Grande and philsgang.com. Simply call Phil's Gang at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Or go to philsgang.com.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, most people get involved with a 401k because of the employer match. They really believe that there's free money. There's no free money. It's a scam. Here's how it works. You ever notice that you can't get the money all at once? Why not? Why don't they just give you the match all at once? Why over 6 years? Because they know only 12% of the people who work for a company stay for 6 years or more. Only 12% are there for 6 years. That's why they plugged it to 6 years. They know you're not going to stay. So it's not for your benefit. It's for the benefit of the company. It's a scam. There's an alternative, though. Phil's Gang. Join my gang. philsgang.com. philsgang.com.
Find out more at philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264. Are you ready to get serious about your financial future? You know, reduce your debt, pay off those student loans, and prepare for retirement. Taking control of your finances can be intimidating, but with philsgang.com, you will be educated and guided to make smart investment decisions in the stock market. If the market is up or down, philsgang.com is the only source where you'll learn how to trade stocks and how to invest in the stock market using professional-level skills and strategies. For more information, go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You hear me talk about 401ks every day on my radio show. Why? Because it's such a disservice. 89 million Americans have a 401k. There's 638,000 plans. And the father of the 401k, Ted Brenner, even admitted they're a scam. He doesn't endorse them anymore because of the ridiculous fees. You got to get away from those fees. Remember, every 1% fee, they take 30% of your retirement money. The average fund is 2.5%. 60% of the money is going to be gone when you're ready to retire. You don't need to do that. There's an alternative. Join my gang, philsgang.com. philsgang.com. Seek out the alternative. Give yourself a break. philsgang.com. Sign up today.
Find out more at philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
The treatment doesn't get any better than what you receive at St. Jude. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, most people get involved with a 401k because of the employer match. They really believe that there's free money. There's no free money. It's a scam. Here's how it works. You ever notice that you can't get the money all at once? Why not? Why don't they just give you the match all at once? Why over 6 years? Because they know only 12% of the people who work for a company stay for 6 years or more. Only 12% are there for 6 years. That's why they plugged it to 6 years. They know you're not going to stay. So it's not for your benefit. It's for the benefit of the company. It's a scam. There's an alternative, though. Phil's Gang. Join my gang. philsgang.com. philsgang.com.
Find out more at philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264. You're listening to The Phil's Gang Show with Phil Grande. Be sure to check out the all-new Phil's Gang website at philsgang.com.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. Craig Robertson for Phil Grande. Phil will be back in the chair on Monday. Meanwhile, we're talking about, well, not just the debates on Monday evening and White House reaction to the observation by candidate Donald Trump, who said, and I quote here, "We have the Fed doing a political thing, this Janet Yellen of the Fed, by keeping interest rates at this level. The day Obama goes off playing golf for the rest of his life, when they raise interest rates, you're going to see some bad things happen," close quote. And the most important observation there is twofold. Number one, that there is absolutely a direct political tie-in between the Fed and the White House. And secondarily, the president, or Freudian slip showing, Mr. Trump is absolutely correct in his observation that if there is any significant increase to the overnight lending rate, which has been stagnant now for going on a year at 25 to 50 basis points, this will absolutely unravel the United States Treasury because we will not be able to afford the interest payments on the debt. And we're going to drill into how deep the debt is and how fast and how dangerous it is to your own financial well-being coming up in the next segment. But I want to bring an observation here. The White House, of course, ridiculing Trump for his observation. Josh Earnest, the press secretary, says, and I quote, "The charge, of course, is preposterous. It is baseless." Close quote. Yes, and I suppose probably just as baseless as the FBI finding not enough evidence to convict Clinton of any wrongdoing in the email server national security scandal. Now, it gets worse than this. Listen to comments by Representative Carolyn Mahoney, who talked a bit about Janet Yellen and the so-called robust economy. Here's Representative Maloney.
I believe that Chair Yellen's performance so far has been nonpartisan, admirable, and has proven that she is more than capable of navigating these difficult waters and guiding the U.S. economy back to robust economic growth. So I am disturbed by anyone who suggests that Chair Yellen is somehow acting politically. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Oh, yes, and thank you so much for sharing that observation from Neverland, or the Twilight Zone, also known as the Beltway in Washington, D.C. Here's the reality, that in just a generation, the United States debt, and a generation's approximately 25 years, so in just a generation, the United States debt jumped from $3,655 billion to $19,481 billion. And you ready for the real disturbing fact? A generation before that, so that takes us back to 1966, 50 years ago, the federal debt was $319 billion. And yet today, we're sitting at $19,481 billion. And as the president has presided over this federal government that's already taxed more than $20 trillion away from the American people, do you realize that just to cover the spending deficit, we would need to increase federal tax revenues by 44%? How'd you like that? Not increase it to 44%, for those of you already paying 30%, but increase it by 44%. When Barack Obama was inaugurated in January of 2009, to date, through August, we have 91 full months that have been completed, February 2009 through August 2016. During those months, those 91 months, the federal government collected approximately $20,197 billion in total revenue. But during that same 91-month period of time, we increased the federal debt by $8,878 billion. That means that the $20,197 billion that was collected is not near enough to simply cover the spending over the last 91 months. Now, apologists for this administration will argue the debt increased so dramatically during the Obama years because he took office during the Great Recession, and of course it was still in progress that lasted from December of 07 to June of 09, and the massive stimulus was necessary. But here's the absolute reality, and that is we have a deficit that is so far run away. In fiscal year 2015 alone, the federal government collected a record $3,248 billion in taxes. And yet, as the fiscal year ends just this Friday, we would have to see a tax increase of 44% just to cover the deficit. And don't think for a moment that the next president that gets in office may have no other choice than to increase your taxes. We know certainly Hillary Clinton has promised to do that. And even if Donald Trump were to be elected, could the seated president, short of continuing to whistle past the cemetery and ignore reality and continue, riding the merry-go-round in Neverland we call Washington, D.C., short of that, short of complete horse blinders, could any president successfully navigate the financial future of this country and our economy short of increasing taxes? Because the interest rate on this deficit is spinning at such an alarming rate that even if the government stopped all spending outright tomorrow, which they wouldn't want to do because they've got more people now working for the federal government than the entire manufacturing sector in the country. Do you know that, by the way, 10 million people work for the government, which is significantly increased by almost 50% more than all of those that work in the manufacturing sector in this country. So when you couple the current federal deficit with the likelihood that we're going to have to do something in terms of increasing revenues just to not even pay down the debt, just to continue to pay the interest, Donald Trump is absolutely correct when he observes that should the Fed start reasonably increasing the interest rate in order to cool off this overheated economy, from all those part-time jobs they're creating out there, that we would simply find ourselves on the brink of bankruptcy. This is the challenge the country is facing, and this goes directly to a threat to your own financial well-being. The financial security of your retirement. Counting on Social Security, don't count a lot. It's one thing for politicians to say we're not going to touch it because it's the proverbial third rail, but they may have no choice. We'll talk about other areas that eat into your financial future as this edition of Phil's Gang continues.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Do you invest in a 401k or an IRA? Did you know you could lose 30, 40, even 50% of your investments when the market crashes? It's time you take control of your investments. For over 15 years, philsgang.com's Phil Grande has been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members, making profits when the market is up or down. philsgang.com posts daily market updates, has a live investing class, and all material is archived. Sounds too good to be true? Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
For more information, simply go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264.
philsgang.com.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You hear me talk about 401ks every day on my radio show. Why? Because it's such a disservice. 89 million Americans have a 401k. There's 638,000 plans. And the father of the 401k, Ted Brenner, even admitted they're a scam. He doesn't endorse them anymore because of the ridiculous fees. You got to get away from those fees. Remember, every 1% fee They take 30% of your retirement money. The average fund is 2.5%. 60% of the money is going to be gone when you're ready to retire. You don't need to do that. There's an alternative. Join my gang, philsgang.com. philsgang.com. Seek out the alternative. Give yourself a break. philsgang.com. Sign up today.
Find out more at philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, most people get involved with a 401k because of the employer match. They really believe that there's free money. There's no free money. It's a scam. Here's how it works. You ever notice that you can't get the money all at once? Why not? Why don't they just give you the match all at once? Why over 6 years? Because they know only 12% of the people who work for a company stay for 6 years or more. Only 12% are there for 6 years. That's why they plugged it to 6 years. They know you're not going to stay. So it's not for your benefit. It's for the benefit of the company. It's a scam. There's an alternative, though. Phil's Gang. Join my gang. philsgang.com. philsgang.com.
Find out more at philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264, 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. We're a teaching format, and boy, do we give good service. You know, buying a stock doesn't have to be complicated. The reason why Wall Street makes it complicated is so to make you think you need to hire them. You can do better without them, believe me, because you're not going to have those big fees. Come to Phil's Gang, where we'll show you an easy way to buy a stock. philsgang.com, where we don't make it complicated, but profitable.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
El que San Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When St. Jude told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, there's nothing worse than you're investing in a stock and during the day something happens and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to call. Or you call somebody and they just give you a bunch of BS. Not here at Phil's Gang. We value every gang member. During the day, you got a question about your stock, you contact us. We have the best service in the world. philsgang.com. You're not alone. You're a gang member.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call, 877-600-4264.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. Craig Roberts in for Phil Grande. Phil will be back on Monday. Meanwhile, we're talking about the top 10 threats to your family's financial well-being, the security of your finances, and your retirement. I want to, as we lead into the next item, reiterate what Janet Yellen said on Capitol Hill just hours ago, talking about the whole issue of maintaining rates at the current 25 to 50 basis points, at least until such time as the, quote, continued job creation runs to the economy overheating that then requires, of course, the Fed to step in and start raising rates a lot faster. Well, if that's what she believes, I have to wonder to myself, don't these people talk with each other? If they don't talk, maybe at least they should read what the others write. There was an item that was published on the Liberty Street Economics blog that is an arm of the New York Fed that seems to be decidedly outstepped out of step with the testimony of Janet Yellen on Capitol Hill today, as she's saying we're going to increase rates just as soon as we see the economy start to overheat because of all of this marvelous job creation going on out there. What they seem to be missing is reality. The implication here right now is when the Fed itself writes on the blog, and I'm quoting here, that they've got some concerns about economic trends with implications of the behavior of real wage growth, explained, by the way, as negative growth, which is Washington, D.C. political speak for decline. The real reality is wages are decreasing, and it's going to have not an overheating impact on the economy, but a further slowing of the economy. In fact, once you adjust wages against the consumer price index and inflation, here's the reality. Median income has declined 4% since 1973. And when Janet says, oh, we've seen a 5.2% jump in household income, well, not actually. When you really look at the numbers, in fact, you discover that from 1973 to 2015, it fell 4%. Worse so, though, is the troubling aspect of what's happening with future generations coming along. The baby boomers are in deep trouble, to be sure, but now even the millennials are beginning to see some challenges because here's what's happening. The report indicates that in terms of wage growth, you see the fastest growth up to the age of 40, flat growth between the ages of 41 to 54, and negative growth for Americans over the age of 55. The U.S. population, as we just said, is aging. And so the demographics and the real numbers are demonstrating that, in fact, there's no chance of this economy overheating, that, in fact, just the opposite is likely true. And that simply means that we're going to see a decline in this economy, and further still, on a rapid decline, should the Fed stop playing politics and get serious about the lending rate. And I have to laugh when they talk about banks are having a difficult time making money these days. Of course, tell that to Wells Fargo, right? When in reality, well, of course, when you've got interest rates and the money's so cheap, how can you expect them to make any money? Meanwhile, I hope you are not sitting back lackadaisically and hoping that you're going to do okay with your retirement investments, because if you are, let me set you straight on that. As we're talking about these top 10 threats to your family's financial well-being: the deficit, taxation necessary to address the interest rate on the deficit, negative job growth, and the other one is, quite frankly, hidden fees. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Everybody charges a fee, right? Any product, any good, any service that you purchase, somewhere in there is a fee so that somebody can make money for providing that service to you. But those fees can have a very negative impact on your portfolio. Here's the reality that a lot of investors are not aware of when you're using a typical money manager, and that's simply this. You have no idea the kind of impact that these fees can ultimately have on your portfolio. Now, it runs the gamut between broker advisor fees, front-end fees, back-end fees. If you're buying B stock, there's a 5% penalty for early sales or early withdrawal. There are management fees, 12B1 fees. And it's the old adage that what the share price increase giveth, the management fees taketh away. For example, let's make some easy numbers here so you can calculate this with me in your head. Let's say you had investments on Wall Street at an annual rate of return of 10%. Nobody's getting that right now, but just for the sake of discussion. If your fees on a $100,000 investment were 5%, and you had an annual rate of return of 10%, you've got a net of 5% gain. And after 20 years, your $100,000 will have finally grown to $265,000. And after 30 years, it will have grown to $432,000. If, however, your annual fees were reduced by 2% down to 3%, same $100,000 investment, same return of 10%, over that same period of time of 20 years, you would have seen an increase to $386,000. That's versus $265,000 at a 5% fee rate. Wow. That's pretty significant growth. That net gain, because of the beauty of compound interest over the course of 30 years, the difference is between $432,000 versus $761,000. And best of all, if you kept the rates of the fees down to just 1.5%, that initial investment of $100,000 after 30 years of sitting there simply making money for you would have grown to $1,155,000. But you know why you're not getting it? That's because you're not paying attention to all of the fees that are associated with your investments. And we're going to tell you a little bit later on in the program how you can get around those fees in a moment. But first, I want to dive into the real big bubble. And that is the narrative concerning what's happening with the federal deficit and its potential impact on your savings. Most of Monday night, as we said earlier, was a waste of time, both candidates giving a lot of the usual 30-second sound bites. But Donald Trump said the most important thing of the entire evening. He said concerning Janet Yellen, typical politician, all talk, no action. We have the worst revival of an economy since the Great Depression. We're in a bubble right now, and the only thing that looks good is in the stock market, and even that's not all that exciting. And the minute you raise interest rates any appreciable degree, things are going to come crashing down. Close quote. The reality is we are facing a huge, ugly, fat bubble right now. The Fed is doing it simply for political reasons by keeping the interest rates at this level. And trust me, as we said earlier, the minute Obama is out of office and they decide to raise interest rates, we're going to be in for a whole lot of trouble. I think Trump hit on a major direct hit concerning the narrative being promoted by Wall Street and Washington that somehow the Fed has been the nation's economic savior. And the reality, in fact, paints an entirely different picture. That, in fact, we have seen the politicizing of the Fed. You have to go all the way back to Bill Martin. Do you remember Fed Chair Bill Martin? Well, he was the last politician, the last Fed appointment by a politician to not be politicized. And his appointment, by the way, was made by Harry Truman. By the time you get to his successor, Arthur Burns, who had to deal with Richard Nixon, and the last connection that this country enjoyed to gold, you begin to realize that the last series of Fed chairs have been completely politicized. And in a moment when we come back, I'm going to tell you just how severely so. And then we're going to drill down into some important keys as to what you can do to be proactive in protecting the security of your finances, your family's own financial well-being, and ultimately your own retirement dollars. Now, if you'd like to get more information, I want to encourage you to jump online to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. You'll find a whole bevy of wonderful resources there. In fact, Phil has a brand new resource available called the Max Vest 1000, where you can learn how to use the art of charting to make money without paying all those fees that I talked about earlier before, and all the profits go in your pocket. More details coming up around the corner on Phil's Gang.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Do you invest in a 401k or an IRA? Did you know you could lose 30, 40, even 50% of your investments when the market crashes? It's time you take control of your investments. For over 15 years, philsgang.com's Phil Grande has been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members, making profits when the market is up or down. philsgang.com posts daily market updates, has a live investing class, and all material is archived. Sounds too good to be true? Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
For more information, simply go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264.
philsgang.com.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, there's nothing worse than you're investing in a stock and during the day something happens and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to call. Or you call somebody and they just give you a bunch of BS. Not here at Phil's Gang. We value every gang member. During the day, you got a question about your stock, you contact us. We have the best service in the world. philsgang.com. You're not alone. You're a gang member.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264. Phil Grande is a career businessman who's also been an entrepreneur all his life. He has used his business skills to take companies on the abyss of bankruptcy and bringing them back to profitability. Phil has been honored by Inc. magazine for the 500 fastest growing privately held companies and has been recognized with a prestigious Entrepreneur of the Year award. From the real estate to gas and oil industries to the stock market, Phil Grande has mastered his line of business from start to finish. And with a passion and desire to make you a profitable investor, only Phil teaches you and guides you to make informed, unemotional investment decisions. And you'll gain the knowledge of what Wall Street doesn't want you to know. If you want to learn from the best and strengthen your ability to invest, then turn to Phil Grande and philsgang.com. Simply call Phil's Gang at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Or go to philsgang.com.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
The treatment doesn't get any better than what you receive at St. Jude. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Do you invest in a 401k or an IRA? Did you know you could lose 30, 40, even 50% of your investments when the market crashes? It's time you take control of your investments. For over 15 years, philsgang.com's Phil Grande has been teaching, coaching, and investing right along with all Phil's Gang members, making profits when the market is up or down. philsgang.com posts daily market updates, has a live investing class, and all material is archived. Sounds too good to be true? Why not join thousands of satisfied Phil's Gang customers today? Go to philsgang.com, philsgang.com, or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. 877-600-4264.
For more information, simply go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264.
philsgang.com.
Welcome back. Are you a fan of the Phil's Gang radio show? Then you should check out philsgang.com or give them a call, 877-600-4264.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. More information again on the web at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. We've been talking about some of the top 10 threats to your family's financial well-being, the security of your finances, and your retirement. And just before we return back to the dangerous threat that the Fed poses to your financial well-being, I want to come back to Washington and some of the testimony on the Hill today. This is Representative Sean Duffy talking to Janet Yellen. Remember that whole debate as we saw Eric Holder insisting that a lot of these banks can't be prosecuted because they're too big to fail. We can't put them at risk. You know, it's much like you can't prosecute a bank because it's too big, and apparently there are some former secretaries of state that are too big to prosecute as well. Listen to the exchange between Representative Duffy and Janet Yellen. This is very eye-opening. Listen.
We were told by our friends across the aisle, who I would argue opened up their cabinets, their file cabinets, and dumped in every wish bag issue that they had for probably a decade. But they made a promise to the American people that when they passed that bill, they would be ending too big to fail. Because people were concerned not just about the economy, but the fact that the taxpayer, their money was going to bail out large financial institutions. Do you agree now, almost a decade on, that we have ended too big to fail?
Well, I think we've taken very significant steps toward...
No, Madam Chair, that's not my question. We were promised that we would end too big to fail. I wasn't here. That they would end too big to fail. So I think the American people have a right to know what you think. Have we ended too big to fail? Yes or no?
So, as I said, I think too big to fail is a less significant problem now than it was before.
So you're saying it's still a problem? We haven't eradicated the threat, have we? Too big to fail still exists. Yes?
I think we've made very important and meaningful strides toward ending it.
Madam Chair, these are simple questions.
I don't think it's a black or white thing.
Yeah, this is like listening to Loretta Lynch testify concerning what happened with Comey and the investigation into Hillary Clinton and the email server. Yes, this is too big to tell the truth. Here is the absolute reality concerning just how politicized the Fed has become. Richard Nixon. We're going back 40, 50 years ago almost now. Richard Nixon insisted the Fed not raise rates in the early 1970s. That, of course, ultimately set the stage for unbelievable period of runaway inflation. And, you know, since that time, we've seen every single Fed chair. Arthur Burns, by the way, was his Fed chair at the time. He was the first one to unleash this horror upon the American people. And then you follow that by William Miller, Paul Volcker, Ben Bernanke, Alan Greenspan, and of course Janet Yellen today. And here is the absolute reality that over 94 months on the zero bound, the Fed has executed the most massive income and wealth transfer in American history. Upwards of $2.5 trillion has been extracted from the hides of Americans like you and me and retirees. That over that 8-year period of time now, at $300 billion per year, it's all been gifted to the banks that are too big to fail and the banks that are too big to prosecute. Needless to say, with this massive wealth redistribution, I should call it, and monumental scope and the impact that we're never going to see a removal or withdrawal of the political machine that influences the Fed today. And that's simply because whether or not they wish to recognize it, Congress has done absolutely nothing to do anything to protect the American people. In fact, this wanton redistribution from savers to debtors and speculators is occurring only because Congress has stood back and done absolutely nothing. We forget the fact that our country was organized in such a fashion that the one branch of government that would have the most power was the United States Congress. There are restrictions and limitations to the power that the president has through the override of any veto, through that of what the U.S. Supreme Court has, through the ability of the Congress to reshape the Constitution through constitutional amendments. It was intentionally set that way so the American people would have the most control over our government. And the reality is that we had a coup that took place in this country in 1971 when Richard Nixon persuaded the so-called free market economists to trash the last vestiges of the gold system, sever the dollar's last link to anything other than the whims and economic theories of the Federal Open Market Committee, end the dollar convertibility to gold, essentially killing the Bretton Woods system. And while it's taken several decades to get us to where we're at today, with the shackles of gold and convertibility removed from the Fed, they are open to generate dollar liabilities at will, and we've seen that with all of the printing and indebtedness, certainly over the last 8 years, if not the last 2 generations. And ultimately what has materialized, the end game here, the end impact on your finances, is a cult of the central bank that is not responsible to anybody but the politicians. And the Fed's policy of inflation targeting has caused the massive offshoring of all of the key manufacturing jobs, all off to China, all off to India. And at the same time, we've seen this perverse job destruction policy that has generated massive slack in the domestic labor markets, in spite of the fact that they lie to you and tell you we're going to start to increase the overnight lending rate if job growth gets out of control. Really? Are you kidding me with this? we have been fueling the most incredible bubble in the stock market that we have seen perhaps in the history of the stock market. And unfortunately, the offices now of all these major corporations have simply become stock gambling dens, and corporate balance sheets have been strip mined to fund the greatest financial engineering Ponzi scheme ever contrived. And the truth of the matter is Janet Yellen is simply a paint-by-the-numbers academic fool who kowtows to the whim of Washington, D.C., and has no clue about the havoc that's going to be unleashed upon the American economy if they ever try to increase rates. Bill Martin was the last appointed Fed chair who didn't tinker with the economy in a political fashion, and he was appointed by Harry Truman. Now, what do you do about all this? You got to start to take control of your own finances. You need to start making your own decisions. Phil's Gang is an organization that provides stock market investing education, information, and analysis provided to members who are taught core essential strategies when it comes to investing using stock charts, learning how to cut out the middleman. Remember all the fees we talked about earlier? So that the money goes to your bottom line. And right now, a wonderful new product available through philsgang.com, the MaxFest 1000 stock charts that will help even the most novice investor learn how to make money on Wall Street just like the big guys do. Now, there's a limited time offer available. And if you subscribe today, go to philsgang.com. You can join for just $39.95 a month, and you'll get the MV2 stock chart for free for an entire month to try it out, no obligation. More information by calling Phil's Gang at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264, or simply log on to philsgang.com for more information. That's philsgang.com. I urge you to take back control over your financial future. Don't allow the Washington, D.C. politicos and fat cats control your financial direction. It's bad enough we have to deal with the taxes, the interest on the debt, the out-of-control spending by Washington, D.C., the manipulation of the economy by the Fed at the behest of politicos, and the ignorance of most of the people sitting on Capitol Hill that were sent there to represent us and instead are representing special interests. Take back control today. Get more information. Go to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. And, of course, be sure to mention that special opportunity to get the MV2 stock chart for free for an entire month when you become a Phil's Gang member today. philsgang.com or at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264, or again on the web at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Well, this has been Craig Roberts for Phil Grande. Phil will be back with you on Monday. Of course, we invite you to come back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern and 12 noon on the Pacific Coast for more of Phil's Gang. Till next time around, we'll see you on the charts.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.